Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the College of New Jersey webinar. My name is Rob Bonacore. I am the Director of Admissions and Enrollment Management Technology, and I will be providing some tech support for your webinar tonight. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. First of all, the webinar will last for about an hour, and we will try to keep very close to that depending on the question and answers, but we'll try to be very respectful of your time, and so about an hour we're going to wrap things up. Questions can be asked at any time along the session, though. As you noted when you came into the webinar, all attendees arrive and will be muted. So although you can hear all the presenters tonight, you cannot actually participate in the webinar through voice, and so you will be on mute throughout the webinar. It just helps in terms of the number of people and noise background. So how do you ask questions? Well, you have a question window on your menu, and you can type questions into that question window at any point. All questions are logged, so any presenter on the chat tonight, and we have about 6 of us, all presenters will see the questions you type. You don't have to direct them to any one in particular. We will all see the questions, but only the presenters will see the questions, so you don't have to worry about questions being posted out there and all attendees seeing those as well. So they are kept private just to the presenters. Because they are logged, we will then voice those questions to the presenters, and we will answer them obviously through our voice, and so everyone will hear the question and the answer as well. If we run out of time because they are logged, we know who asked the questions. We always will respond back to your questions through the email. So if something's either comes in that's either a little bit more private or a little bit more particular, or we just don't get to it, we will always follow up with you. So even if that hour ends, we'll follow up with your questions. Some last little things, there is a camera icon in the upper right of your viewing screen, and so you can click that icon. It will save an image to your desktop, and if any point throughout the presentation there's something that you want to record, an email address or something, feel free to use that just to take quick notes. And lastly, the webinar is being recorded, so this presentation will be recorded. And within a couple of days, we'll have that out on the web. So if there's something you missed and need to come back, or if there's someone who you know that wasn't able to make it tonight and they want to participate, to see it, we'll send that out to you as a follow-up. So with that, my job is done. I'm going to turn this over to Lisa, who will be running the rest of the webinar for us. So Lisa, you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
I can.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for attending. I know that for everyone, panelists, presenters, our audience, this is after hours, so we do appreciate you joining us. It just shows that we're all really enthusiastic about the cause of continuing education, which is fantastic. So we're going to start the webinar off tonight with Dr. Alan Amstis. He is the director of the Masters of Education program in Instruction, which is a partnership program between the College of New Jersey and the Regional Training Center. And you should see a PowerPoint presentation on the screen right now from him. So we're gonna turn it over to Alan. He's going to go through some information about the program, about the admissions process. Then I'll be taking over. I'll be going in depth into the admissions process and the partnership between TCNJ and the RTC. And then most importantly, we're going to open this up for questions and answers. And we're going to have a panel. Alan will go over who our guests are this evening, but it'll be an alumni and student panel. And hopefully we'll have a good portion of the evening to answer all your questions. So without further ado, Alan will go into his presentation. Turn it over to you, Alan.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Robbie, for getting us off to a good start. And thank you to all the people who are attending tonight as prospective students and interested guests. Let's give us a second. Let's click there. There we go. So this slide is just a reminder to me to let you know that Robbie Bonacore is our technical director, and that cute little Dilbert cartoon is just there to show you all the things that can possibly go wrong with a webinar, but we're going to ignore that. As Lisa already told you, she and I are the main presenters. There's a little vision of what we look like when we're at work. And later on, there'll be slides with our email addresses and our contact information on there. We will be eager to hear from you in the future, especially if you're serious about applying to the program or joining us as a non-matriculated student, which is also an option. We'll be joined later by 4 students from the program, 2 of whom, Anthony Batista and Kelly Ryman, are graduates of the program. As you see, Anthony is a 2nd grade teacher, and Kelly is an assistant director of a program that works with young adults with cognitive and sensory disabilities. Scott Osborne and Samantha Greslak are both current students. Scott is a 6th grade social studies teacher, and Samantha is an 8th grade physical science teacher, and I really want to thank all 4 of them for giving up their time on a snowy evening. So here's what you can expect from tonight's presentation. I'm going to begin, as Lisa already said, with an overview of the MED program, the academic component, and a brief overview of the application components. There are a lot of them, and there are a few things you should know about them if you're planning to apply to the program. And then a little bit about some resources for applicants and students in the program. Then Lisa will discuss the program and partnership history, and we'll give you a more detailed look at the admission and application processes. And then lastly, our student and alumni panel will discuss their experience within the program and a Q&A with you, our webinar audience. So that should be a pretty full evening. So we're a Master of Education program currently called Educational Leadership and Instruction. It's a 30-credit master's degree program, and it's designed specifically for working, certified New Jersey area teachers who wish to enhance their personal and professional development. We're looking for teachers who are interested in becoming better at what they do in ways that they define for themselves. We feature strongly a theory, practice, and reflection framework. That is, everything we do in all of our classes is tied to what happens in your classroom. And there is an ample time for you to take what we discuss and practice in classrooms back to your classroom and see where it works and how it works and when it works, and then come back to the academic classroom to analyze how to make it work for your specific classroom. This program, although it is called Educational Leadership and Instruction, it does not lead to principal or supervisory certification. That's just an important point to know. And some of the courses, especially the instructional courses, are offered in both online or face-to-face format for those of you that prefer one format or the other. We are a program that is accredited by the National Council for the Accreditation of Teacher Education Programs. That may not be very important to you, but it will be important to your school administrators, and it's certainly important to us. It means that we are qualified to offer the courses and the degree that we do, and that will appear on any transcript you have, and your administrator will want to know that. So a little bit about the program itself. There are 3 major components, and you may already know this from any of the RTC literature. There's an instructional core of 4 courses, a research core of 3 courses, and those 2 cores, the instructional and the research core, are required of all students. At some point throughout the program, if you'll be required to take those 2 core courses. And then you complete your program with a concentration option of your choosing, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. So the instructional core classes, there are 4 of them, and you can take them in any sequence at any time that works for you. The first one is a course on assessment techniques, which is assessing for student learning, and looks broadly at the different ways you can assess what's going on in your classroom and how the small assessment of your classroom links to the bigger standardized assessment that seems to be sweeping the country as a framework. There's a course called Styles of Teaching, Personality Styles in the Classroom, that's based on the Myers-Briggs inventory of personality style and looks at how you can categorize people, students and teachers, in a 4-part color-coded quadrant that really captures different learning and teaching styles, and you can look at how to match your teaching to the students in your classroom who seem to get it easily and those who struggle. The brain-based teaching and learning course is about the neurology of learning, learning as a physical and cognitive activity and how to manage all of that while trying to be interesting in your classroom. And lastly, the fourth instructional core class is differentiated instruction. And that's a course that really looks at how to differentiate according to the 9 different ways that Carol Tomlinson has sort of spun out across grade span from K to 12. The research core classes, there are 3 of those, and I designed the research core classes, so I know a good deal about them. Before I begin, I just want to tell you that most teachers associate research with something that's handed to them and told this is what you should be doing. This is a very different kind of research. Most teachers have a sort of peculiar relationship with research because research is often used against us to prove that we're not doing what we should be doing. This is very different. This looks at research from the inside out. It's based on what you do in your own classroom and the questions that you have about your own practice. So there are 3 courses. The first one is called Exploration of Classroom Inquiry, which is an introduction to something called teacher research or practitioner inquiry. It's about, as I said, the questions that you live with on a day-to-day basis but may not always have the time to talk about with other teachers or other people in your life. The second course is Modes of Inquiry and Research, and it's a course that functions a bit like a methods course. It gives you all the techniques, methods, and strategies to take the question you developed in that first course and turn it into a realistic, authentic research project that you'll do in your own classroom. And the third course is Inquiry and Practice and Presentation, which is a course that is structured around you doing an actual research project of your own in your own classroom. And these 3 courses are the only courses in the RTC program that must be taken sequentially. Each one builds on the other. And they're all about reflective practice, as that little image of a Van Gogh painting will indicate. And then lastly, you would round out your program by taking courses in one of 3 concentration option areas, and you would choose one of these, and you have several choices within each. I'm not going to list all the courses. You can get that on our website, which I'll give you the link to at the end of this. But you can either choose as your concentration option the Teaching Strategies option, which looks at various kinds of methodologies that are in contemporary use, or the Diverse Classroom, which really looks at classroom culture, multicultural approaches, and really seeing diversity as an asset rather than a problem to be solved. And the third one is Classroom Climate and Classroom Culture and Management, and looks not just literally at classroom management techniques, but other influences that affect the culture of a classroom, including student and teacher history and cultures. So that's a very brief overview of the program. If you're intending to apply to the program, there's a long list of, or a medium list, I should say, of components that comprise your application. I'm not going to go over every one of these bulleted items. You can get that on the website. But I do want to focus for a moment on 2 or 3 of them that have a very specific focus that we'd like you to know about. The first is the personal essay. Almost every graduate program you might ever apply to will ask for a personal essay. In our personal essay, we're looking for 2 things very strongly. One is a strong sense of who you are as a teacher, both your strengths and your challenges, and that requires you to really do a good personal inventory on yourself. This personal essay is generally about 2 pages double-spaced, just so you know, in 12-point type. So we want to get a strong sense of who you are as a teacher. We also want to know what questions and challenges you face in your classroom. What are the things that really make up your personal learning curve for the next year or 2? And lastly, how you expect this program will help you address and explore those questions. So if you can sort of frame your essay around those 3 questions, it'll give us a very strong sense of who you are. There's a component that we get a lot of questions about because it's a bit particular to our program. We call it the Field Experience Report, and it has 2 major components. The first is a statistical demographic overview of your school and its diversity portrait. Things like ethnic diversity, linguistic diversity, academic diversity, economic diversity. And most of this information is available through school or district websites. Often you can get it by consulting with a guidance counselor or just a secretary in your principal's office. But this is generally public information, so it's not that difficult to obtain. And then second is a short, and by short we mean 300-word or less, narrative about how you incorporate diversity into your curriculum and teaching. It doesn't mean that your classroom represents a great deal of diversity, because sometimes that's not the obvious case. But how do you bring diversity and build it into your curriculum so that your students understand that the world is a bigger place than just our classroom? Letters of recommendation is probably the third component that people often have questions about. We take them very seriously. You're required for 2 letters of recommendation, and they should be written by someone who knows you well. The letters should sound like they actually have an understanding of who you are as a teacher or as a potential student. So the letter should address either your teaching or your ability to do master's level work. And they should specifically be about you as a teacher or a learner. Generic recommendations are less persuasive. So those are just 3 things to keep in mind about those 3 components. Here's a brief snapshot of the deadlines. And again, this information is available on our website, so I hope this won't create any anxiety about writing this down as you go. But those of you who are maybe thinking about summer, there's a priority deadline of February 1st, and then the final deadline is May 1st. So if you can get your application materials in by either of those deadlines, you should be in good shape for summer. And if you're thinking about fall, there are the deadlines as well. This is a slide that is just there to inform you about a website we created for current and completed and prospective students in this program. We call it EduAction. Frankly, that's a result of a little typing glitch. I type very fast, and most of the time when I type the word education, it comes out as EduAction. And one day I thought, that would be a great name for a website. And then I thought, it might as well be our website. So it's EduAction, and I think it implies that we are activist-oriented on the side of teachers and their role in the educational system. So if you look down at the bottom, I don't know if my cursor will show it, but here's a link to the EduAction website. And again, this is on our website, the TCNJ website, and you can access it. What might be of particular interest to you at this point is we list program philosophy. Some of our faculty and staff have uploaded profiles, some details about the courses, some frequently asked questions, and in particular, the resources section we try to keep this current, lists of grants, small grants, that are available for teachers who want to do some focused study on their own. You can get money, for instance, to spend a month in Mexico to look at the flight of the monarch butterfly, things like that. That might be very interesting to you. And so here's the contact information I mentioned. Lisa DeMarsico, who is our Assistant Director of Graduate Studies, and she'll be enormously helpful to you at the application process and even after. And my contact information as well, and I will be your official advisor if you're accepted into the program, and there's a good chance I may be your instructor for one of the research courses as well. And so just thank you very much for attending. This slide doesn't indicate that we're done, but I'm going to transfer the screen back to Lisa in a moment to do some closer discussion of the application process. And both RTC and TCNJ have websites that are linked. So if you go onto RTC's main website or to TCNJ's, you should be able to find a link to all of those. And if you don't, you can always come back to Lisa or I for further information. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back to Lisa now. And I thank you all for paying attention. And there. There. Did that work?
We will see. Okay, so you should be seeing a new PowerPoint. Does everyone see a new PowerPoint? Alan, do you see a new PowerPoint?
I do.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Alan, if you just don't mind muting yourself and dropping your webcam, that would be great. All right, thank you. So now I'm just going to go over briefly, like I said, the partnership between the College of New Jersey and the Regional Training Center, and just go into in depth a little bit more about the admissions process. I am the representative from the graduate office, and we handle all admissions for all graduate level programs here at the College of New Jersey. So if you are contacting TCNJ to inquire about your application, you'd be contacting my office. So just quickly, our partnership was established back in 2000, and there's obviously two partners. There's the College of New Jersey, and there's the Regional Training Center. And I'm gonna talk about them separately, and then talk about the partnership. So the college was founded back in 1855, which may or may not be of interest to you. But what I think is interesting for teachers specifically is that TCNJ was actually one of the very first teacher training institutions in the United States. And although, you know, we've certainly evolved from that time, we definitely continued to focus on an excellence in education, and that's certainly important to us. As I said, we've evolved into a highly competitive liberal arts institution. There's some things that we're very proud of. We get quite a bit of national acclaim, but mostly I think, you know, we're proud of our students and we're proud of our faculty and staff, and that definitely branches out into our partnership with the Regional Training Center. We've really, you know, kind of combined their strengths and our strengths. Just to go over some of the acclaim, because really a open house wouldn't be complete without some bragging. The college has been noted in various publications. The Princeton Review calls us a best value. They also say we have some of the happiest students on campus, which we think is fantastic. We feel as though we're doing something right. And then for over 2 decades now, we've been at the very top of U.S. News and World Report's list of best universities, and that's for the master's category for the northern region of the country. So, you know, those are just some things that, in general, the college brings to the table with the partnership. As far as RTC, I'm not a representative of RTC, but I've been working with them for some time, and they're really a powerhouse, especially in New Jersey, for professional development for teachers. They were founded in 1993 with really the purpose of providing opportunities, professional development opportunities at the graduate level to teachers in New Jersey. In 2000, they partnered with us here at the College of New Jersey, and that was purposeful to really combine the college's academic tradition and excellence with their relevant coursework. They know what teachers need in their classrooms. They know the type of opportunities teachers are looking for, and they've really honed that. So it's been a great partnership. Back in 2006, we actually started the MED program, Masters of Education in Instruction. And that was really because we saw the need for a program like this for public teachers, parochial teachers, and private school educators. So, we've had a great run since 2006. So that's really the partnership in a nutshell. Alan did go into quite a bit about the admissions process, but I'm just going to touch it again. It never hurts to go over that process more than once. It can, you know, be a little overwhelming for people if you haven't done it in a while. But we try to keep everything on our website, and we try to keep lists of what's required. So what do you need to submit? Alan went over this, but I'm going to go over it again briefly. As Robbie said at the very beginning of the webinar, you have a camera icon. You can certainly take a snapshot of this if that works for you, and you can save that to come back to. But so there's a few components of the application. There's an actual online portion. So it's something that you go to our website to fill out and submit. And you want to be submitting the application for matriculation. Alan talked about the personal essay. He talked about the letters of recommendation. We do ask that you include an evaluation form with those letters, and I'll get to that in a moment. And then we ask for official transcripts. We're looking for all institutions that you've attended, so undergraduate, graduate. And some people will say, well, I don't have a master's degree, I just took a course or two somewhere else. Do you really need that? And do we really need it? Not to admit you need a bachelor's degree to be eligible to apply to this program and a teaching certification. But what that does is if we see that you've successfully completed graduate level courses at another institution, that really just strengthens your application because we know that you can excel at that level. We do ask for an application fee. Most people are happy to know that if you are a past or current RTC student, meaning if you've even taken one RTC course, not within the master's program, that fee is waived for you. So you don't have to pay it if you've taken an RTC course. Again, copy of teacher certification. You do need to be a certified practicing teacher to be eligible for this program. The field experience, as Alan went over, and a resume or CV. So the online application, as I said, it's available off of our website. And you just go in there and it's mostly bio demo information asking you what program you're applying to. But there are some pieces of the application that you can actually submit with the online portion. So if you do need to pay the $75 application fee, you can pay that online. And then really anything that you're developing, your personal essay, the field experience, your resume, that can all be uploaded to the application either in a PDF form or as a Word document. So anything that's you're putting together for your application, you can upload along with the online application. You just need to make sure anything that you want to submit online is uploaded before you actually submit the application. Once you submit it, you can't go back in. You'll have to send those documents hard copy. But we do need some documentation hard copy. And as I said, we try to keep everything in one place. We try to put as much information as possible on our website. So if you go to these various links, again, you can see those lists of what's required. And obviously, official transcripts need to come hard copy. We do need you to have your institution send them directly to us. Letters of recommendation should be coming in hard copy from your recommender directly to TCNJ. And as I said before, we ask for evaluation form to come along with the letter of recommendation. So that can be found at this link that I have here. And I'll just quickly go, hopefully this pulls up quickly, to our website just to kind of show you how to navigate through that. So here's our website. It's right here that you would start a new online application. So you just click on that Apply Now button, and that'll take you right into the online portion of our application. And then if you actually go under Academic Programs and click on the Regional Training Center, you'll find a wealth of information, including a quick view application requirements link. And that is going to take you right, again, to a nice, neat little list of everything that we're asking you to submit along with your application. And for letters of recommendation, if you just click on that, it'll bring you down to the description, and the letter of recommendation form is right there for you to download and hand to those who are providing the letters of reference for you. So just get back to the PowerPoint. So again, our website, we try to make it as user-friendly as possible. So please go to it and a lot of information can be accessed there. So people call and they say, I've submitted my application, and you may have submitted the online portion, but we haven't received everything else. So we do need an application to be complete in order to undergo review. And that really means we need the online portion, we need the fee if that's required, and we need all supplemental documentation. So we won't even begin a review for an application until everything is on file. So that is important to note. And we don't reach out to the applicants to indicate what's missing. We do ask you to confirm with us that everything's on file. If you thought you sent everything, feel free to contact our office to see if we received everything. And just to go over deadlines again really quickly, as Alan said, the summer deadlines, priority consideration is February 1st, final deadline is May 1st. Really what priority consideration means is that if you have everything on file, so a complete application by that priority deadline, your application's reviewed right away, and if admissible, you have, kind of first offer to the seats that we have available in the program. After February 1st, we review applications on a rolling basis as they complete until the final deadline of May 1st. So certainly if you have everything in by May 1st, you'll be reviewed. It's just that the process takes a little longer because it's now a rolling admissions process. And then I put up there for fall admission, in case not everybody is looking to start in the summer. We keep the priority consideration deadline the same. It's also February 1st, even for fall, but then the final deadline is extended until August 1st. And again, I asked, when you have a chance, visit our website. There's a wealth of information there, and then really everything that you need to successfully complete the application. And again, there's my contact information, and then also the contact information for our main office. I'm the liaison for this program, but it really is our office staff that handles all the applications and what's received and what's complete, and they're really helpful. So feel free to call if you have any questions. And now we are actually going to turn it over to the panel, which is very exciting. So if everyone who is on the panel can turn on their mics and webcams, we can kind of get that started. I've seen a lot of questions come in, so I think we're going to have a good amount of questions to keep us going for the next half hour. Let me just pull this up real quick. Okay. Is everybody with us?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
Nope, you're there.
I'm
Fantastic.
going to move out of the way in a moment. Kelly and I are sharing an office tonight, so it has my name there, but it'll really be Kelly.
Okay.
You'll
Fantastic.
see the difference immediately. Before we begin, I just want to say to our audience, I'm really grateful to the 4 students who are joining our panel tonight, because I think regardless of what Lisa and I say about the program, when teachers talk to other teachers or with other teachers, there's a real kind of immediacy and recognizability and energy, and I think their words will mean a lot more to you than Lisa and I's description of all the details. So I'm very happy to turn it over to Kelly and Anthony and Samantha and Scott.
Okay. Well, since Kelly is new to our screen, why don't we just do a kind of just brief introduction. I know Alan gave a background, but Kelly, if you can just let us know what you're currently doing, and then we'll go to everybody else on the panel.
Okay, so I'm Kelly Ryman. I work here at the College of New Jersey. My role here is Assistant Director of our Center for Sensory and Complex Disabilities, but prior to that I was a high school special education teacher.
Okay, thanks. Anthony, how about you?
Anthony Batista. I teach second grade in Newark. This is my 9th year teaching second grade. It's the only grade that I've taught.
Thanks.
I'm Samantha Grislack. I am an 8th grade physical science teacher, and this is my 5th year teaching, and I'm currently enrolled in the master's program.
And I'm Scott Osborne. I'm currently enrolled in the program with Sam, and I'm currently teaching 6th grade social studies, but before that I taught high school social studies for all 4 grades.
Okay, thanks everyone. All right, so I'm just going to jump into the questions because we actually have quite a few. I'm just going to start reading them off from the first one that came in. Alan, this might be for you actually. The prospective student is saying, I'm graduating in the spring with a bachelor's in education. Do you recommend I wait until I get into a classroom to take one of the RTC classes? So that's a good question for anybody else who is a brand new teacher. What's your take on how they should start navigating this process?
Well, I'll give a very brief answer, but the 4 teachers on our panel may also have a contribution to that question. I do think the courses work best when you have a classroom in which to practice all the material. I think that the courses are designed to be practice-based. They really are designed for working teachers. So I wouldn't want to dissuade anyone from taking a course, but I think if you have if you're in a classroom, you'll get much more out of them. So I guess basically what I'm saying is you might want to think about waiting, but I guess ultimately it is up to you. I know that admittance to the program, if you want to come in to the master's program, we would look very closely at whether or not you have a classroom that you're currently working in or not. That would be an important factor. But if Kelly or Anthony or Samantha or Scott would like to add anything to that, I think that would be good.
Okay, opening up to the panel.
I think it would be extremely difficult as a first-year teacher also to manage taking the classes, only because the classes really allow for a lot of reflection and improving on practice, and your first year you're just kind of figuring it out. So I started the program my 3rd year teaching, and it really helped kind of refresh what are the best practices, and then I was able to modify what I did in my classroom as a result.
Agreed.
Okay. Okay, I think that's helpful. So kind of just going on kind of a focus of the classroom, we have a question. Is there a way to focus on using technology in the classroom while taking these courses?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and start that one off. I'm actually doing my research project right now on creating a digital classroom, a paperless environment, and through each of the courses that I've taken, one of them, the Universal Design for Learning, that's an excellent course that kind of provides you with a lot of great resources for going digital. And through each course, I was able to kind of find a little tidbit of information that would help me kind of create that environment. And then obviously the research courses kind of are very tailored to what you want them to be. So I was able to kind of look back and reflect and figure out what pieces I wanted to better structure the digital or paperless classroom.
Okay, awesome. Anybody else want to touch on that? If not, that's okay. We have lots of questions.
I have one short thing to answer. I've noticed in the past year and a half, a lot of teachers have been doing classwork and their research work on various notions about flipped classroom or using weblogs in their classroom. So I think there's an enhanced visibility of the impact that technology has on the K-12 classroom showing up across the RTC coursework.
Okay. The next question is talking a little bit kind of about the logistics of being a graduate student. So do you have to take a course each semester? and do you have to be full-time in the program?
I can quickly answer that.
Sure.
So I, like many of you, thought, I was going to be a teacher forever, and I didn't know what to go back to school for that would be different than what I already loved. So I found this program, and that fit in. And then Alan, on the first night of our open house, said, within six years, you have to complete this curriculum, and that seemed doable. And then it's purposely meant to be like this accelerated program with a unique schedule. As many of you have seen, the courses run on the weekends for the most part, and I've changed jobs and gotten married and had 2 kids and did the program in 5.5 years. So at no point did I ever feel like I was a full-time student. I juggled it with my life, and I think that's what makes this a better fit for a lot of working teachers than maybe other programs that you might have to consistently take semester by semester to stay on sequence. So that's my 2 cents.
Anybody else wanna just add to that, their experience on maybe how many courses they're taking a semester, or if they've skipped any semesters because of personal or professional responsibilities?
I think the flexibility of the program is what really attracted myself and Scott. We go through the program together to the program initially, that you could go through it at your own pace. We haven't taken a semester off, and we kind of went through the program. We're in our final course. We'll graduate in May, and it took about, what did it take us, Scott, 2 years and a semester?
Just about 2 years, yeah.
And the fact that the courses are on the weekends, it really benefits, because I know I was very stressed entering the program on how I was going to be able to manage being a full-time teacher and also taking graduate classes. And because it's the practical nature of the courses, it's really just been a beneficial and exciting learning experience.
Awesome, and I can tell you just from knowing some of the students who have gone through this program, I mean, there's coaches who are varsity field hockey coaches, and they simply can't take courses in the fall. So it's not a problem to kind of work this program in a way that works for your personal and professional schedule. As Kelly said, you have 6 years to complete it, and for some people that sounds like a really long time, but when life, kind of happens, that might be exactly how long it takes you to complete. So you can go at your own pace. You can take a semester off. You can take 3 courses in the summer and then not take any courses in the fall if that's how it works best for you. So talking about courses, a question came in about some of the online courses. And just to preface this, I'll say the online courses with the RTC are relatively new, so I'm not sure if any of our students have taken an online course. They may or may not. But do the online courses have specific meeting times, or is coursework completed on a self-paced basis? So I don't know if anybody actually took one of those courses, or Alan, if you have any input.
I only have a little bit of information about that. I believe that they are mostly asynchronous. There are blocks of time within which, like over a certain weekend, you have to log in and discuss a reading that was assigned the previous week. But the amount of time where everyone in the class is simultaneously online and interacting in real time with each other is fairly minimal. So
okay.
That's how that works. Now that could change as we further develop our online profile, and it could change from course to course. I should mention that currently the 3 research courses are not yet available in an online format. I'm working on that, but they're going to be the most resistant to the format. We're working on it. We have some good ideas, but we haven't gotten all the pieces in place yet.
Right. So right now we would kind of consider this program really a blended program. So there is some online coursework options, but there is a large component of this that is still face-to-face. Alan, while we still have you for a second,
Sure.
there's some questions about requirements. So a question came in, what GPA is recommended in order to be accepted into the program? What if it is a lower than the what if your GPA is lower than the recommended?
That's a good question. With GPAs, actually more is more, frankly. Our general benchmark is that we look for a GPA of 3.0 or higher. If somebody has a lower than 3.0 GPA, we have to look at a lot of other factors. How long ago were they a student? Have they taken master's level courses that show a higher and more consistent GPA? Very often we get students whose application package really needs a telephone conversation or a personal interview, and in that case I'll reach out to them, I'll call them and have a conversation with them about their background and their work. We really try to look holistically and give students the benefit of the doubt. In some cases, it's rare, but in some cases, if a GPA is really low, if somebody has a 2.2, for instance, we would strongly suggest, although it's no longer a requirement, we would strongly suggest they do something like take the GRE exam to counterbalance the low GPA. Other things is if your GPA is low, then all the other components become more important. The essay really has to be, well written and communicative. Your letters of recommendation really have to speak very specifically about your strengths. So we really do try to look at the big picture, and that's how we deal with it if somebody has an alarmingly low GPA.
Okay, thank you. And here's a good kind of student experience question. And I'm just gonna take this as it's referring to the face-to-face courses, since none of our students on the panel have taken an online course. The question is, how much work do you do outside of class? So anybody can jump in.
I could go. I don't care.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Sim.
when you take a weekend course, it's usually a Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and what's really great about it is a lot of the work for that course is done during the class time. At the end of every course, there is a learning extension project, and that would be the biggest assignment that you would have outside of the face-to-face time, and you have 2 weeks after the last Sunday of the course to complete that assignment.
Just to piggyback off of that, so I know I've been in classes where a lot of students are nervous if there's going to be like a final exam. This isn't set up that way. That learning extension project is your final exam for each course, and you get out of it what you put into it. So I've been with teachers that give it 110%, and then teachers that give it 99%, and I think all are really good. But it's just really what you put in is what you get out of it, and you do that on your own time.
And the nice part about those projects is that there's a lot of different options. So if you have a particular strength in one area, you can really tailor the project to meet your own personal strengths, or develop some weaknesses that you might have that you want to focus on. So there is a lot of freedom there. That really does go a long way. It certainly helped me determine, based on what the course was, I might choose one of the different project options.
And what's great about that is, excuse me, that kind of incorporates the whole idea of, your students are different learners. So, the fact that they're treating us that way as well with all those options, I don't know if there's still 10, right, available to do. I mean, you never feel like you're stuck with something that you don't think you're going to do well at.
Awesome. Thanks so much. We just have, there's a few other questions that are coming in. I think some of them we're going to have to answer off air, so we'll certainly get to all your questions. But a few came in kind of inquiring about when can somebody start the master's program? Meaning, can they take some courses before starting? Do they have to start after taking so many non-matric courses? So, Alan, do you want to answer that?
That's a very concise answer. We first of all, you should know we accept no transfer credits from other institutions, including TCNJ, for this program. We're a 30-credit master's program. Many other programs are 33, 36, or even 39 credits. So we're very tightly structured, so we don't take in outside courses. However, you can take up to, and transfer in, up to 2 RTC courses. So if, for instance, while you're applying to the program, you wanted to take a course, the differentiated instruction course, that would be great, because that's a core course and you could apply it to your program when you're accepted. If you wanted to take one of the courses in one of the option concentrations, you could do that and then apply it when you come in, as long as you stay with that option concentration. Any of the core courses could be transferred in. The only exception is the research courses are reserved only for those who are already accepted. But yes, you can take up to 2 courses while you're applying. So that's the answer to that.
Okay, Alan, and just quickly on the research core, there's some question on they do need to be taken in sequence, but is there a certain time within the program that you need to take those courses?
There's a recommendation that the first one be taken early in the program. You'll see somewhere on one of our websites it says it must be taken as one of your first 3 courses. That's maybe stated a little stronger than it should be. We strongly suggest it, but if that doesn't happen, the world will still turn. We'll all get by. It's probably not good to let that first one go too much further than that. But the reason for that is we want you to start thinking about reflective practice in relation to your classroom. We want you to start thinking like a teacher researcher. A lot of the inspiration for the research courses, for the research projects, comes from other RTC instructional courses. So we want to introduce you to this way of thinking about yourself as a teacher and to start to see yourself as a teacher leader. That's kind of the sort of not so hidden sub-curriculum, is that we really want the teachers who come out of this program to emerge as strong leaders in their field. And so that's how we do that. But so the first course is generally designed to be taken near the beginning, and then the remaining courses should be ideally sort of the middle and the end, but that is very flexible. As Kelly and the other students already said, this program is really designed around your needs and your schedule. So we try to really make it all fit.
Okay, thank you. And we just have a few minutes left. Like I said, some of these we're going to have to take off of the air. Some of them are a little more kind of specific, and we'll email you a more specific response. But just to wrap it up, if maybe we can go through the panel, and each student or alumni can just kind of respond to this question. So what courses or experiences have really had the strongest impact or been the most helpful to you in your teaching and working with your students in your classroom or in the capacity that you're working with students? So just Kelly up at the top if you want to start, and then we'll go down the panel.
Sure. I would say probably the learning extension projects was the most influential experiences. So each course does end with that project. And like I said earlier, like I thought I was going to be this teacher forever. And by exploring more of my niche area in special education, I learned that I really could be a leader in my niche area of special education. And just going through just all the self-exploration, it really opened up other opportunities for me through that process, and really just kind of diving more into what I love to do. So I would say that was it for me.
Awesome, thank you. Anthony, you want to pick up on that?
Yeah, I would say the personality types course, which was actually the first one that I ever took, was just a huge eye-opener for me. As Alan mentioned, the thing with the color quadrants, and when you take the course, you'll see like you learn a lot about yourself and the teachers that you're in the course with. just seeing how different people learn in different ways and react in different situations. And when you see that as an adult and you try to put that in the scope of, for me, what a 7-year-old, I mean, that really opened up my eyes a little bit to how different the population is of a classroom. And with that, the brain-based learning course, I feel between those two, probably the biggest takeaways for me. I mean, there's things that I learned in brain-based that I use today, I mean, constantly. Honestly, I think of it less as coursework and more as like the best professional development that you're going to get. As these guys know, there's some professional development that is just way out there, and you walk away with, what did I just do for 7 hours? This is everything that you get here is useful, very, very useful.
Anthony, do you mind if I ask, are you a blue gold?
Yes.
See? I knew it.
Yep.
Samantha, do you wanna go next?
Yeah, so my favorite course was also the personality course, because not only did I feel like it helped me to understand and interact with my students better, but it also allowed me to understand and interact with my colleagues better. The brain-based was also fabulous, and then my other favorite course was the Universal Design for Learning. It introduced me to so many different resources available on the internet for students, and in particular for my subject area, and so I was really excited to implement all of that in my classroom. And like Kelly was saying with the learning extension projects, the best part about them is that it's directly related to your practice. So even though it does take time to complete the assignment, it's less of an assignment and more of what resources can I make for myself and use as my learning extension project.
Okay, awesome, thanks. And Scott, if you wanna round that out for us.
Sure. I actually think my favorite course was the intro research course, the 510.
Yes.
And I wish that I'd actually taken it sooner in the program. It was my 4th course, and I wish I'd taken it sooner because, like Alan had mentioned earlier, you really do come away from it with a new perspective and a new outlook on teaching, and through really a more reflective lens. And you just start to notice things in a very different light about yourself, your students, your colleagues, and it really does get you thinking. And after every course that I took, you get really excited to go and try these new techniques or these new methods and put them into practice. And I'm going to be honest, not everything is going to be successful, and that's realizing that that's okay, and is, I think, a big part of the program, and finding out what works for your unique group of students or your teaching style or your classroom setting is really the exploration and the exciting part. And I think the whole program really does a great job about kind of you working on weaknesses or developing them, and then putting your strengths to use.
Okay, thank you. So we're at 6 o'clock. We're at the full hour. So I'm just going to ask Alan to close this out for us. And I just want to thank you personally and thank the students for being part of this. It really, I think, is helpful to those prospective students out there who are trying to figure out what works for them to further their education. So thank you.
W.C. Fields was a comic actor from the 30s, used to say that he would never perform after a child, because who could top that? And I kind of feel like it's hard to perform after a teacher, because who could top that? I think the 4 of you spoke very beautifully and from the heart about this program. And the only thing I would want to add, just as a highlight of what you said, is that this program really does take the big notion of best practice and scale it down to what works for you in your classroom. We really try and mold the theory so that it fits your practice. And on our website, we have a saying that is more than just a cute saying, I think. It says, we're changing the face of New Jersey education one teacher at a time. And that one teacher at a time, I think, is the focus. It's really as individual as the 4 teachers you heard presenting here. So thank you all so much.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And that is the end of our webinar for this evening. Hope to hear from you with more questions. Please contact us if you have any. Thanks.
And
I think we're done.
I guess we're done.
Click.
That's it.
Okay. I kicked everybody off.
Okay.
Except Chandra. Chandra's still there.
And all the... Oh, hi, Chandra. Okay, so
Hi.
all the attendees are out.
Wait, is that's Chandra, right?
Hi, Chandra.
It is.
Hi.
Hey,
How was it? How'd we
you
do?
guys did a great job. You guys did a great job. I mean, I learned a whole lot, and I think having the students as panelists was very helpful. And I think they felt just their being there and saying what they've said speaks volumes about the program. And Alan and I, it was very good. I think it just came from the heart. I'd have to say, if I'm a prospect